It's Monday, the 5th of December, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, big morning this morning, big week this week, actually. Story number 1, the Reserve Bank is expected to lift the official cash rate by 25 basis points tomorrow, taking the total increase in rates since May to 3 percentage points. Can you believe that? But there are still buyers in the housing market.
Yeah, there sure are. Let's have a look at what's likely to happen tomorrow first. Rates will probably rise by 25 basis points. That'll add about $112 to monthly interest bills on a $750,000 mortgage over 25 years. That basically means that the cost of repayments on such a loan since May have gone up by $1,250. Now, the financial markets have priced in further rate rises. They thought there'd be about another 3 25 basis point rate rises. They're now betting that there'll only be 2, which is kind of good news. That's on the back of the US Federal Reserve last week, making it clear that it had done plenty of heavy lifting when it comes to rates. Funny thing is, of course, is that house sales still remain okay. Okay, they're not buoyant, but they haven't fallen off a cliff. In fact, the auction market over the weekend was the busiest since June, with the preliminary clearance rate across capital cities at just under 62%. And the 2 big markets did pretty well. Sydney's rate was almost 65%. Melbourne was 62%. Canberra actually led the way with a clearance rate of 67%. Adelaide was 63% and Brisbane 42%. Of course, this is all coming ahead of the rate hike tomorrow. And figures from CoreLogic last week that showed prices across the capital cities fell by 1% last month. But there is some good news. The pace of declines has slowed. How far will they go? Many economists, like Shane Oliver from AMP, thinks there's still a long way to go. Not so sure there. It's going to be a very interesting statement from the Reserve Bank tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, sure will be. All right, on to story number 2 now. And delivering Australia's nuclear submarines as early as possible is high on the US government's agenda as it prepares for a fierce period of rivalry with China. This is according to the US Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin.
Over the weekend, Mr. Austin unveiled the next generation of stealth bombers. Don't know whether you saw them, Michael. Geez, they were spectacular.
They are. They look really cool.
They were good. He was talking afterwards and he said the US was determined to bend the arc of history towards liberty. That's a real swipe at China. He highlighted the AUKUS agreement with Australia and the UK, whereby the 3 nations promised in September last year to boost their defence cooperation, including supplying Australia with nuclear-powered subs by 2040. Now, a couple of our senior ministers, Richard Marles and Penny Wong, are both due in Washington this week to speak to their US counterparts.
Sean, story number 3, a very serious one, this one. Accused Islamic State terrorist and leading global recruiter for the notorious jihadist group, Neil Prakash, has been charged with 6 terrorism offences after being deported back home to face justice here.
The Melbourne-born jihadist was charged yesterday with 6 terrorism offences by the AFP's Victorian Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, according to The Australian. Prakash will appear in Melbourne's Magistrates Court to face charges of engaging in hostile activity in a foreign state, being a member of a terrorist organisation, advocating terrorism, amongst others. The charges could see the 31-year-old jailed for life. Prakash's extradition to Victoria was approved on Friday after he was deported to Darwin from Turkey and taken into custody by Australian Federal Police.
Story number 4, Sean. US media giant CNN has cut hundreds of jobs, mostly paid commentators, as the world's largest economy heads for tough times.
In fact, the US economy is probably heading for a recession. It may even be there as we speak. What's happening at CNN is likely to be repeated in many other media organisations. It's also likely to be repeated in many other general organisations. Now, reports suggest that NBC Universal, that owns NBC News and MSNBC, will begin laying off staff next month. Disney, which owns ABC News in the US, is likely to cut jobs under newly returned boss Bob Iger. This news is all emerging as a number of new jobs in the US last month jumped by 260,000. That was quite a rise. But the view is that the number of jobs available will fall.
All right, finally, Sean, story number 5. Watch prices, which soared during the COVID pandemic, have fallen back, and used watch prices are down nearly 17% over the last year. It must be said, Sean, that I'm assuming the used watch market is a second-hand market.
Oh, well said. I like it. I
Thank
like
you.
it. We spoke about this last year about the soaring watch prices, particularly Swiss timepieces. Prices of Rolex, Patek Philippe, etc., surged in 2021, even early this year. But according to Bloomberg, the aptly named Subdial 50 Index, which tracks prices for the 50 most traded watch references by value, has tumbled. Like many other goods during COVID, people stuck at home were cashed up, spent it on things like watches, but now they're spending it on other things like travel. Hence, watch prices are going backwards.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
Oh, finished on a high note there. Well done, Sean. That's it, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 5th of December, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, then you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.